Hi, this is Jorge Fernandez with KETIV Technologies, and in this session, Vault Process Automation, I'm going to show you how to set up a job processor. Before we get started, what is the job processor? The job processor is a separate application that takes queued jobs and processes them. The job processor application is installed with the Vault client, so any machine with Vault Workgroup Collaboration, which was available for 2013, or Professional, can be used to publish these jobs. Now, often we recommend this to be a separate standalone workstation that has the Vault client installed, as well as Inventor or AutoCAD, depending on which file types need to be processed. The first part of the job server is what's called the job queue. This is a list or queue of jobs that are submitted by clients such as Inventor, AutoCAD, Vault, or even Autoloader. The queue itself is stored and managed in the Vault server. So why would you need the job processor? Mainly it's so that you don't have to spin the wheels on your hardware to create the visualization file, better known as a DWF. So where do we see this option to send a file to a queue? When you check in a file, there's a settings button that allows you to choose that you'd like to use the job processor to create the visualization attachment, or DWF. Another example is if you were to click on the update button in Vault Explorer, you will see there is a queue update button that allows you to send it there. If you are using Autoloader and don't want to have it take longer to do a mass upload to Vault, you can queue the job processor to make the DWF. Lastly, if there's a status change that occurs or a property that needs to be updated, then you can have a job processor update the revision number, for example, on a file's drawing, even though it's in a released or locked down state. So let's take a look at how you can set up the job processor and then use the different scenarios just mentioned. The first thing we'll take a look at here is how do we start the job processor. So if we come over here and go to All Programs, Autodesk Data Management, Tools, you'll see the job processor right here. Of course, you can make a shortcut for this by right clicking, or you could have also typed it in the search button down below. As soon as we come in here, it's going to try and log on as the last person you had. If you are not able to, you'll have to go to settings here and type in the right one. Right now the job processor is actually running, so I have to come over here to hit pause, and then I'm able to go to the settings for administration. Here I can type in the user logon information for the job processor, the password if needed, as well as the server, and you can turn on Windows authentication as well. Once we've done that, we can also turn on for it to start during the Windows logon. That way you don't have to come in here daily and have to turn it on necessarily, or if someone accidentally turns off that machine, you won't have to worry about it. You'll notice there's also job types. So here you'll see the different types of jobs that will actually run. In other words, it'll create a DWF if it's working with an assembly, a part, a presentation file, or even if it's working with other files such as architectural files like Revit and AutoCAD files like drawings as well. If we go back to file, we can just resume this and then we can exit this. Quick little tip for you: if you accidentally end up hitting X, the next time you come in, you might have to end the process by going to your task manager. The right way to exit the job processor is to come over here, go to file, and exit out of this. So now that we've started the job processor in the background for it to work, now we can discuss, let's go ahead and activate that. In other words, let's send something to the job. So for example, if I want to go ahead and check in this file into Vault, whether it's the first time or not, we can come over here and we see that there's an icon here that's going to create a visualization attachment, the DWF. If we go to settings, in here, this is where we can tell it to not create it or send it to the job server. So by clicking this, it's going to queue it up so that when I check it in, it doesn't have an extra process to create the DWF file. Instead, the queue is going to take care of that down the line. It could take a minute or two, just depends on your connection speeds and what other files might be in the queue, but this essentially will allow you to send this file to the queue. The other way you could do this as well is while you're inside of Vault Explorer. Inside of Vault Explorer, when you click on a file, you can have it automatically create that DWF. However, you can also again queue it to update. Once I do this, I have to check that on, and then I click the update button, which will send it to the queue. You'll notice right here it actually hasn't sent it out, so if I needed to change it back to update locally, I can just click that and it'll create that DWF file all over again. So I was logged in as the administrator doing these things right now, but now let's take a look at if we were somebody else such as the engineer and needed to make some changes and wanted our revision block to update. I'm going to log in as Ed the engineer now and take us back to those files to change it from a review state where we're going to assume that this file has been checked, redline markups are all done, we can go ahead and push it to released. Now what's going to happen is we want the revision to go to C now, but in order for that to happen, what you'll see here is as soon as I go to released, it's going to go ahead and change it to C, but I am the engineer, I can no longer go in there. I also don't want an administrator to have to go spend some time and have to make these changes on here necessarily. In order to update that DWF, what happens is the job processor can do that. So that's what's happening right now in the background. And how did this actually get set up? I want to give you just a little more insight. In my Vault settings, under the behaviors and the life cycles, the specific life cycle has settings that allow for this to happen. So at the release state, for example, we can control the security levels and see who actually has the ability to modify, delete, or just read. So engineering can only read the files, why that's locked down. Administrators can actually modify. So as part of the transitions as well, when we have it go from review, for example, over to released, this can be edited so that there's an action item here, so it synchronizes that property and bumps the primary revision up. Again, we have security levels here so that who can actually see these files and so forth. That in a nutshell wraps up how this is actually working, what's going on in the background. If we go back to the job processor, we can see what's going on, and we can also always go back to the tools tab here, and under job queue we would be able to see exactly what other jobs other than just this one are in that queue and are about to happen at any moment. That way, in case you notice that something hasn't been updated, you'll be able to identify that fairly quickly. Now it doesn't stop here. There are extensions to this, or custom jobs, where you can do things like creating PDFs. They can happen upon a lifecycle change, for example, and even be attached to the actual drawing files that you'll see in Vault. From here, we can have it send email notifications of the different phases of the project, and even perform centralized printing, generate reports, and save these files outside of Vault as well if we want to, including other file types, not just these.